Good. Hi, everyone. Happy Earth Day from all of us here at Marine Mammal Care Center. I'm Dr. Michelle. I'm the Director of Animal Health and Conservation, one of the veterinarians here at MMCC. And this is Krista. She's a member of our hospital team and a wildlife rehab technician here at MMCC. And we're so excited to have you all behind the scenes with us today to celebrate this very special Earth Day. Our mission here at Marine Mammal Care Center is to respond to and rehabilitate stranded marine mammals in Los Angeles County. And that's really important because it helps us to give these animals a second chance back in the wild. And not only does it make an impact on the individual animal, but it also helps us to learn more about the health of our oceans. So it's really important, and these animals play a really pivotal role in maintaining the health of our planet and their ocean home. So we're going to talk a little bit about the patients that you see here. It's pupping season, so we tend to be pretty busy at this time of the year. We see a lot of stranded California sea lion pups and northern elephant seal pups that we'll show you in just a bit. But first, we're going to have Krista take you into the kitchen and talk a little bit more about what we feed our patients and how we provide care to them while they're in our rehabilitation hospital.
All right. Hello, happy Earth Day, everyone. Here as a rehab technician, one of my main jobs is to help make sure they receive all their proper nutrition throughout the whole day. We currently are at 54 patients and over 250 pounds of food that we had to thaw, rinse, and prepare for the entire day for our patients. So I'm just going to show you what our fridge looks like in a second. What is important to us is that we make sure they meet all their nutritional needs. We currently use herring and sustainably caught herring. It meets all their caloric needs, helps them gain weight. One of our biggest jobs here is making sure not only are they getting all the medical care they need, but they're also receiving high value nutrition, making sure they're hitting all their vitamin goals, all their behavior goals, making sure they are eating and getting nice, fat, and healthy. So we love it. Sweet. So I can just show you real quick here in the fridge. We've prepped all of our food for the rest of the day. This is what the next 24 hours looks like. They are organized by pen. So we feed a lot of our animals here by pen. It's all herring, all rinsed and nice. Over here, we also have gruel. I can talk about that in a second. It is what we feed all of our sick, new, young patients. It is a fish smoothie that has extra vitamins, extra hydration, everything they need until they are strong enough to start free feeding and eating herring on their own. Sweet. So we are proud of all the work we do here to try to get them fed 3 times a day. So we will feed once again. After this feed, we'll do it one more time at 3 p.m. and we start over for the next day. And I love it. Sweet. Thank you so much. I think we're going to go look at some patients now, and then we'll show you guys a feeding. Thank you.
I'm gonna walk around this way. Actually, let me hand this to you for a minute. Okay, so we'll go ahead and head back this direction. And we'll pass by a couple different pens. You can see we have some of our sea lion patients. These guys came in pretty skinny. California sea lions should be with their moms for about 9 months. So they're born in early June, and they really should be with their moms through April. These guys stranded a couple months ago. So they were separated from their mom early or pre-weaned. So they were separated before they were able to actually adequately forage on their own. So they came in, we gave them a full medical exam, checked them out to make sure they're free of any sort of diseases. And we're feeding them fish to fatten them up before we release them back into the wild. Then we have a couple northern elephant seal pups in this pen. Sort of the same situation with these guys. Northern elephant seals have a different natural history than California sea lions. They only stay with their mom for about a month. But if they are not large enough at the time of weaning, if they don't weigh at least 160 pounds after they spend a month nursing from mom, then they don't do very well in the wild either. So we'll see these guys frequently strand due to malnutrition because they're too thin to be able to survive on their own. So same deal with these guys. We bring them in and do a medical assessment to make sure that they're healthy and fatten them up before we release them back into the wild. And then we have a couple more patients down here who have progressed a little bit further, have been with us for a little bit longer. Um, More sea lion pups. So these guys have progressed from getting tube fed that gruel that Krista mentioned earlier, and they are all free feeding fish now. So that's an important milestone for them, as we want to make sure that they're able to dive into a pool and kind of locate and consume that fish, because it's really high in calories, high in fat, and helps them to gain weight more quickly. So these are all animals that have been with us for at least a couple of weeks to a month or longer, and they're starting to gain weight and feed on their own. And then we have a couple patients in these pools down here that I wanted to talk to you guys about. So in this last pen down here, we have some more northern elephant seal pups. Now, northern elephant seals are born in December, usually in California. They spend about a month or so with their mom nursing, gaining a lot of weight. And then at the time they wean, mom just kind of takes off and they're left on the beach to sort of figure out how to fend for themselves. So we commonly will get these guys in skinny and malnourished. We have our one of our first northern elephant seal pups of the season named Spud is in here. He's the big feisty one in the middle there, um, who is doing really well and free feeding. And we want him to get to be at least 150 or 160 pounds or so before we release them. So he's not quite there yet, but he is well on his way. And we have him hanging out with a couple buddies in here. So that's good enrichment for all of them. And they have been in this deeper pool, have been free feeding on their own for at least a couple of weeks. So we'll continue to feed them, and then they'll get a full release exam before we release them back into the wild. And then we'll keep walking around here. This is our big rowdy sea lion pool around the corner here. You may be able to hear them making all kinds of noise. We'll say bye to Spud and his buddies. Spud and his buds. Spud and his buds. You can see the elephant seals have that big nose. The adult males actually have this proboscis nose, which is where they get their name from, because they have that large nose that continues to grow as they grow. All right. So this pen over here, this is more of our pre-release pen. So we have a bunch of California sea lion pups and one other species in here, a northern fur seal. These guys are pretty chunky and getting closer and closer to release. And if you look, that seal in the middle, who's a little bit smaller, she's showing us her flippers right now. She just popped her head up. She looks like a little Ewok. That's Erie. She's actually a northern fur seal pup. So she's in this rowdy pen of sea lions. And northern fur seals are have a little bit of a different natural history compared with some of the other otariid patients we see here. Northern fur seals, there's a California stock as well as an Alaska stock. So two different populations off the West Coast. Most of the northern fur seals in the California stock breed and pup on San Miguel Island and the Channel Islands. And they pup usually in late June. And the northern fur seals spend about 3 to 4 months with their mom before they wean. And they're a pelagic species, which means they spend more time offshore, foraging for squid around the part of the shelf break, the continental shelf. So they spend a lot more time offshore, which is why you may not have seen them before, because it is really not common for us to see them along our coast because it's not part of their normal habitat. So Erie's looking good. She's holding her own in a pool full of sea lion buddies that are bigger than her. So she'll be ready for release pretty soon. And then in addition to Erie, we have a pool full of California sea lion pups. Many were here for the same reasons that the others were here. They were separated from their mom too early and were too skinny and malnourished to feed on their own. And we have a couple of pups in here who are actually human interaction cases. So those are when there's a human related impact that causes those animals to come in. So there's a couple of pups in here. One of them is named Puck. And she actually stranded, not just because she was skinny, but she also had a fishing hook caught in her mouth and some fishing line wrapped around her flipper. So that's something that we unfortunately see pretty commonly is these young animals are foraging for food. They're curious, so they'll investigate fishing gear or other foreign materials. And that can be a common cause of stranding as well. So it's really important that if you're fishing to make sure that you are disposing of your fishing gear responsibly because these animals can ingest it, they can get entangled in it, and it can be really debilitating and life-threatening for them. So that's an important part in keeping our oceans and all of our patients or California sea lions healthy is making sure that you dispose of fishing gear appropriately. So I think Krista's about to come in to feed these guys. So you'll see how feeding time goes with some of our patients who are close to getting released. It goes pretty quickly because they're all really good eaters. And you can see Erie, the northern fur seal, a little bit closer to us. So they're pretty ravenous for food. California sea lions are sort of the Labrador retrievers when it comes to appetite. They're very good eaters once they start to eat fish, and they can eat several pounds of fish a day or per feed. Yeah, so we are free feeding because we want to make sure that all of the animals can compete for their fish with one another. So that's an important part of something that we assess before we release these animals is we want to make sure that they're able to feed and forage on their own. Um, and we also try to minimize any sort of human contact. It's a little bit difficult to do in a rehabilitation setting, but we want to make sure that they're able to pick the fish up from the bottom of the pool and that they don't associate the fish with humans. We want all of our patients to get released back into the ocean. So we really want to do whatever we can to minimize any sort of habituation or any likelihood that these sea lions will get fish from humans. So that's why we try to kind of dump and run, which you'll see Krista doing here. Any so each California sea lion pup probably eats about 9 pounds of food a day. So multiply that by about 10 or so in this pool. Good amount of fish per day. Any other questions? Are Yeah, so our development manager Ashley is fielding questions in the chat, and she just asked, "How do we determine if the pups are ready to be released?" That's a really good question. So there's a bunch of different milestones that we want to check for. We want to make sure that the animals are free feeding fish all on their own. As you can see in this pool, many of them are. We want to make sure that they've reached a healthy weight. So our California sea lion pups, we usually want them to weigh about 50 pounds. Erie, the little northern fur seal in here, we want her to weigh probably about 30 pounds or so. And then they also get a complete veterinary exam before they get released. So we do a full physical. We run blood work on them to make sure that they're normal and healthy and able to be released back into the ocean. We do release northern fur seals in the same area as sea lions because they actually have a similar breeding and pupping colony. So in the summer, they all actually gather together at the Channel Islands, and that's where the adult female California sea lions, as well as the northern fur seals, have their pups. And they can swim quite far. Even the pups can cover quite a distance in a day. So we try to release them off of a quiet beach, which can be a challenge sometimes in Los Angeles County. But we try to release them in the morning on a quiet beach with minimal disturbance. and also with buddies or conspecifics with them. That kind of gives them a little bit of time to get acclimated to their environment before they venture out into the ocean. That's a great question. Ashley just asked, how do we report a stranded animal? And you want to give our hotline a call. 1-800-39-WHALE. So if you see any animals on the beach that look sick or injured or entangled, please give us a call. We have an incredible team of trained marine mammal responders who can come out and assess that animal and decide if it needs to come into our rehabilitation hospital for treatment. Yeah, Ashley just asked one of the questions is, do any of them stay friends or maintain their social connections? And that's a really good question that we don't necessarily have a lot of insight to. It's really difficult to do post-release monitoring or tracking on some of these animals because satellite tags can be quite pricey. So it's hard to get some of that data. We do know that sea lions are a social species. So, again, they all gather together on the breeding colonies and pile on top of one another. But there really isn't a ton of evidence to show if they travel together in groups lifelong. We know a lot about the relationship that moms have with their pups, and they nurse their pups for 9 months at a time. But as far as animals that leave here from rehabilitation and go out into the wild, we really don't know if they stay together or not. You may have noticed that guy on deck is showing it off really well. We tag all of them with an orange flipper tag. So that's essentially like an earring that we put through their flipper. The goal is for them to keep that flipper tag for the entirety of their life. Sometimes they fall out, but we hope that they don't. And that flipper tag has a number on it that can identify that animal. So we can't track them via satellite with those tags, but it does provide a semi-permanent means of identification. So that way, if the animal is resighted or if they restrand, we know who it is and more about their history. And there's actually a flipper tags database that you can go on to report these flipper tags. If you see an animal with an orange flipper tag, we'd love to hear about it. So that's great because that's a way that we get some of that data on resites and how our patients are doing in the wild. And we frequently get reports, especially of the California sea lions that we'll release, and they'll go hang out in King Harbor or Marina Del Rey. So it's really rewarding to be able to see some of those cases that have come through our hospital and watch them thriving in the wild. So if you see an animal with an orange flipper tag, please let us know. Yeah, there's all kinds of different ways that you can help. So we talked a little bit about how to appropriately dispose of your fishing gear. We also, it's very expensive to care for all of these animals. So if you're interested, please reach out to Marine Mammal Care Center. There's ways that you can donate in the chat below, as well as on our website to help provide fish and medications for all of our patients, because all of that goes towards them in order to be able to give them a second chance at life in the wild. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you all so much for coming and celebrating Earth Day with us. We really appreciate all of your support and really happy that you were able to see behind the scenes and talk about some of our patients today. They're really, really special. So thank you so much for all of your support and happy Earth Day.